Thank you for sitting through this 20-slide PowerPoint presentation. As you saw, we have a lot of great features, a lot of cool features, a lot of amazing features. What did you think? Yeah, but how does that help me? How should I know? What's up, SE Nation? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know me, my name is Ramzi. I'm a solution engineer out of Ottawa, Canada. Today, we're talking about the struggles of engineers transitioning into sales. That could be solution engineering. That could be pure sales. That could be, I want to start my own business as a startup founder. Here are some of the struggles. And a lot of it has to do with the mindset shift. We need to shift our mindset a lot of times when we're transitioning into these roles, because engineering is great in solving technical problems. When you're running a business, when you're in sales, when you're a solution engineer, you're solving a business problem. You might have to solve technical problems throughout, but unless you solve the business problems, you're not going to get the chance to solve the technical problems. So we're going to talk about the mindset shift, the 5 struggles that I see salespeople or SEs or people transitioning from engineering do. Starting off with number 1, there's the thought, which I think many of us got over. I remember when I was an engineer, I thought of a lot of products that I can create, and I just thought, people will love this and they will just buy it. But no, in fact, if you build it, they will not necessarily come. You might build it and you can hear crickets. So in order to sell a product, the first thing you have to do is identify the problem. You have to actually know what the problem is so you can build the product to solve a specific problem or multiple problems. But generally speaking, if you're starting new, it's a specific problem. If you're a solution engineer and you're talking to a customer, they will not buy the product unless you solve the problem or they solve their own problem somehow. If your customer wants to buy a router and you show up with a router, they already know that it solves the problem, but that's not necessarily you solving their problem. Could be you, could be the competitor, could be anybody. So first off, you have to solve a problem. The second thing is the pain that this problem is causing has to be greater than the money it's going to cost them to buy that product. There's a whole presentation that Steve Jobs did when he launched the iPod about how if you buy a cassette, it's costing X amount of dollars per song. If you're buying a CD or an MP3 CD, etc. Then he showed how much it would cost per song for that iPod. So the pain has to be greater than the money, or it could be greater than the risk. If something is risky, if we're talking about security, the ROI is not initially there unless something bad happens. So there's risk of something happening. So basically, the pain has to be big. And then people have to know about your solution. If people do not know that you built a solution to their problem, they will not buy it because they don't know about it. So you're going to have to figure out a way to actually tell them about their product or your product. If you're a startup founder, if you're a product builder, you have to go market. You have to get leads to cold call or create content online. If you're a solution engineer, you're probably doing conferences and booth duty, which is not always fun. But these are things that we have to do. As an SE, it's not the main part of the job, but it is something we do. So if you tell me an SE is not responsible for lead generation, you and I are going to have to fight. Not necessarily to the death, but some form of fight. We'll see. The thing is, talk to decision makers. As engineers, I am more comfortable, way more comfortable talking to fellow engineers. We can talk about problems. We end up talking about geeky things like Dungeons and Dragons or Jiu-Jitsu, because a lot of engineers are great at Jiu-Jitsu. So we kind of have to level up. We can't be talking to just people like us. Because if you remember, people like us are not necessarily the decision makers within their company. If I'm talking to a user, they might be an influencer, they might be a coach. They could even be a champion if they have a big enough influence, but they will not be the end-all, be-all decision maker. So as engineers transitioning into sales, we're going to have to learn how to talk to the higher levels. We can be talking to managers or directors. We can be talking to VPs, and we can be talking to C-suite. And that means we're going to have to change the way we talk every single time. We're talking about feature function here. Here we're talking about potentially like outcomes, business problems, etc. The higher you go, the different the conversation goes. And this is, by the way, a decision maker. They're wearing a shirt with a tie. I am an artist, maybe not in this life. We have to change the way we talk and who we talk to so that we can actually get things done, especially if you're building a new product. If there's an existing product and we're selling to a specific market, especially small to medium-sized business, then we'll end up talking to people who are similar to us because they probably hold more than one hat. They're probably the mid-manager and the user and the VP all at the same time. We are control freaks. If we're starting our own thing, a lot of engineers don't like to delegate. We like to keep things and we like to do things ourselves. We like to tinker, we like to play, which ends up making the bottleneck here. So don't be the bottleneck. And that goes for everybody. When we think of solution engineers, we don't think, oh, they're the bottleneck. They're supposed to do all that work. But if you're a generalist SE, for example, and there's a specialist somewhere, you don't have to do all that work. You can leverage other people. If you're a founder, you're building a product, you don't have to do everything. You're probably not good at everything to be doing everything. There's always someone somewhere who's better at the thing that you want to be done. For example, as a founder, you probably have to cold call 1 billion people so you can let people know about your product. But if you suck at cold calling, you're not going to get there. Or if you want to do marketing, you might not get there. You can try to leverage other people who are better. You can get an SDR. You can get a marketing person. Another mistake that people end up doing is hiring unqualified people to be SDRs. And then they complain like, oh, the SDR is not doing their job. Well, because they don't know how. And you can teach them. Try to leverage other people, leverage ChatGPT. Try to expand. Don't be the person holding your own self back. There's a book called Who Not How, which I have not read, but one of my clients swears by it. So check that out. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. And then a lot of us fall in love with our product. We consider our baby, but if you look at this specific baby, babies have puke all over them. They're not as cute as they think they are. And nobody likes to admit that their baby is ugly. And when we fall in love with our own product, that closes our mind to any feedback we can get from customers in terms of maybe there's a different way to use our own product to solve a separate problem that we never thought of. Or maybe there's a small tweak that will open up a whole new market for us. But we like what we want. We're thought of a problem that we want to solve, and we're solving that problem with this product, and we don't deviate from it. For us to succeed, we have to fall in love with the 3 Ps, which is problem, process, and outcome. I couldn't think of another P, so I put P in front of outcome, and I pretended that this means the prospect's outcome. But anyways, you have to fall in love with solving the customer's problem, but also the process. The process isn't always fun. For example, cold calling, most people would not enjoy that. But if you get good at it, if you follow a process, you might fall in love, especially if it's providing the outcomes for your clients that you want. And if you're providing the outcomes for the clients that you want and you're losing money, that's not good either. So you have to make money. But in general, if you fall in love with the problem and then in the process to help your customers and then provide them with the outcome, that usually ends up leading you to a better place versus having to fall in love with the product itself. And last but not least, you are not perfect. You don't have to wait for your product to be perfect. Even the minimum viable product doesn't have to be perfect. If you're a founder and you're starting up new, you can set the expectation that it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be problems. We're going to learn together. There are going to be growing pains, etc., etc. If you're an SE, a lot of SEs know every bad thing about their product. And even though they love their product, they don't want to talk about it sometimes to the customers. I don't want to sell that specific product because it's full of bugs or has so many issues. But on the other hand, so does the competitors. And also, which product doesn't have issues? If you're expecting a product not to have issues, then you're never going to sell anything. So don't wait for your product to be perfect. Don't expect, if you're an SE, your product to actually be perfect before you start selling it, because it's not going to happen. It might not happen that it's even close to being perfect, but the question that you need to ask yourself is, does it solve a problem? Are some of my customers happy with it? Because yes, some customers will complain, but for everyone that complains, there's usually 10 that don't say anything, and that's usually a compliment. Silence is compliment in the world of selling stuff. If you get great feedback, that's amazing. But if you get nothing, it's not a bad thing. It's also good. So yeah, these are the mentality shifts that we need to do as engineers who are transitioning into sales. It's not always easy. Sometimes it takes time, but you can learn from your mistakes. You can learn from this video. And if you want to learn from me specifically, check out the SE hotline. The link is in the description. If you want to know what a great sales engineer looks like, check out this video right here. Peace.